Alright, welcome back, Sebastian here. So today I'm going to be reviewing the sprint from earlier today, as well as qualifying from the US Grand Prix with our Saturday running finished. So sprint obviously happened a couple hours ago, but there wasn't a lot of time between them. I was still asleep, so figured I'm going to review them together in the same video. So Verstappen started on pole, Russell P2. All cars started on the medium tires. Lap 1, Verstappen has a good start and he keeps the lead, but Norris really good start into the first corner. He is up into P2, gets past both Ferraris and gets past Russell as well. Leclerc, who had fallen behind Russell, or was still behind Russell, starts putting pressure on the Brit in sector 3 of that first lap already. Lap 2, we had a good battle between the Ferraris all through sector 3. You have a bunch of corners there that you can obviously get the cutback and you can follow pretty well through those corners. So really good battle between there. I believe Leclerc stayed ahead at that point. Lap 3, Ferraris continue to fight and Leclerc, despite the fact that Sainz would get kind of the move on him into turn 12 or even turn 16, Leclerc would continue just to get the cutback and stay ahead. Perez almost goes into the back of Tsunoda, so that was good move there by Perez. Sainz eventually overtakes Leclerc for P4 at turn 12, so a little bit better pace for the Spanish driver. Lap 6, Russell starting to put Norris under pressure. Lap 7, Piastri, of course, having started P16 in the sprint after a poor qualifying and a track limits deletion, he was up to P12. Lap 9, Sainz and Russell. Sainz overtakes Russell at turn 16, going into moving up to P3. Lap 10, Russell is complaining that the front left tire was toast as he was passed by Charles Leclerc. So good pace from Russell early on, but really fell off in the final 2/3 of the race. Hulkenberg overtakes Tsunoda for P8 as well, and then lap 8, Piastri. Lap 11, Piastri, 5-second penalty, and this was for basically pushing Gasly off track a couple laps earlier when he overtook him. I feel whenever you have a driver and one of the front runners kind of recovering through the field, overtaking much slower cars, I always find it that it's kind of an inevitability, is something that's going to happen eventually. So it's one of those things where if there's something that looks borderline, usually I would feel it's better if the team just tells the driver to give the position back, because you can probably overtake them a couple corners later anyway. Lap 13, Perez finally overtakes Tsunoda for P9, so it takes a while for Perez and the Red Bull to get past the sister team, the RB. Piastri overtakes Colapinto for P11 at turn 12. Lap 14, Tsunoda defending pretty well from Piastri, but Piastri in the obviously much faster McLaren does eventually get past at turn 1 of lap 16 for move up to P11. Lap 18, the Ferraris gaining on Norris. Norris not really able to cut into Verstappen to lead, and he was actually kind of starting to fall backwards towards the Ferraris. Sainz, a really nice move. He overtakes Norris for P2 at turn 1 as Norris locks up, and Leclerc basically tries to get an overtake done too, isn't quite able to. He's putting pressure on Norris later on in the lap as well, and he kind of bungles it a little bit, but not able to overtake Lando Norris for that final spot on the sprint podium. Verstappen takes the checkered flag, wins the sprint. He has an exceptional record in this sprint. I think he's won 11 of 16 sprints now, so just crazy. Sainz second, Norris third. So again, that's 2 more points in the bag for Verstappen over Norris in the championship, so that will definitely be good for him. 4th, Leclerc, 5th, Russell, 6th, Hamilton, 7th, Magnussen, 8th, Hulkenberg. That's 3 points for Haas. Really good job from them, and that moves them ahead of RB in the Constructors' Championship. They're level on points, but I think Hulkenberg's best result of 6th place is better than any of the RB drivers, so that's why Haas are ahead. 9th, Perez, a bit disappointing for him not to be ahead of either of the Haas drivers. 10th, Piastri, recovered 6 positions from where he started. I think given how short the sprint is, that's about what you would expect. 11th, Tsunoda, 12th, Colapinto, 13th, Stroll, 14th, Gasly, 15th, Ocon, 16th, Lawson. Thought he was alright. Wasn't particularly special, but that's how it goes sometimes. 17th Albon, 18th Alonso, a bit of a rough sprint from him. 19th Zhou, and 20th Bottas, who had a brake fire on the final lap of the sprint, and he basically had to, I think, retire in the pit lane, or I think he at least lost a position to Zhou on that final lap. But all in all, pretty terrible sprint for the Saubers. So now, moving on to qualifying, I'm just going to get the other board, get the mini board out of the way. There we go. Get the other tiny board up here. Let's see if we can get this up here. There we go. There we go. Still see that? Bit small, but that's okay. For qualifying, it works out fine. So, Q1, obviously, Norris set the benchmark 1:34.029. Leclerc only P6, and he was actually behind Bottas on his first lap. So, pretty poor first lap by Leclerc. Verstappen then crushes Norris's time by almost 3.5 tenths of a second. And most drivers on old soft tires. So a lot of them using old soft tires they had used in, for example, sprint qualifying 3 yesterday, or they had used in free practice. But Perez, one of the drivers on new tires, set a pretty decent time. Gasly goes fastest, 33.550, and that was of course on new soft tires. So you can see some of the lower midfield teams on the new soft tires able to basically go quicker than front runners on their old softs. Leclerc bested as well, 1:33.241, and the drivers in the bottom 5 with 3 minutes left in the session, so right before the final runs, Bottas, Russell, Hamilton, Zhou, and Tsunoda. So a bit of a surprise to see both Mercedes in that bottom 5 as well. Hamilton not able to improve, an absolute shocker there. He was knocked out in Q1, and he was joined by Albon, Colapinto, Bottas, and Zhou. So Hamilton will start tomorrow's race P18 because of Lawson's grid penalty, unless he decides to take another free engine. But yeah, really rough qualifying session from Hamilton, being out-qualified by, the Williams, the Bottas, and the Sauber as well. So yeah, that's definitely something that, again, it's been a recurring issue this year, and it's definitely something to watch to see how it progresses for the rest of this year as well as next year as he joins Ferrari. Verstappen, the fastest driver in Q1, a 1:33.046. Now into Q2 we go. Verstappen sets the benchmark of 33.052 on used softs. Norris bested by 2 tenths of a second. Drivers in the bottom 5 after their first laps: Ocon, Alonso, Stroll, and Leclerc and Lawson. Lawson, of course, didn't set a lap time in Q2 with his 60 place grid penalties. No point in just using up extra tires. So he was basically just out there to basically provide a slipstream for Tsunoda. Leclerc, after that scruffy first lap, he improves the second lap and he is out of the drop zone. So your 5 drivers out in Q2: Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Ocon, Stroll, and Lawson. Hülkenberg locked up at turn 1 on his last lap, and according to AWS, he lost 4 tenths there. So that definitely would have been the difference between him getting into Q3 versus not getting in at all. So a bit of a tough mistake there by Hülkenberg. And Verstappen, fastest time 1:32.584. Just if you're curious, I checked to see what the track record is for Coda, because times this year have been much quicker thanks to the resurfacing. And Bottas's pole from 2019 was a 1:32.03. So yeah, not anywhere close yet. But we'll see if that time got bested in Q3. So into Q3 we go. Norris sets the benchmark 1:32.330. Verstappen very close, 0.03 of a second off of Norris's benchmark. Sainz third, Leclerc fourth, fifth Piastri, and Perez was P9 before his lap was deleted for track limit. Gasly then on the laps, kind of going for the second runs. Potential unsafe release for him, as he was basically released into Verstappen. Verstappen kind of had to almost go into the pit wall to try to avoid Gasly. So we'll see if anything happens. Usually in qualifying nothing does, but we'll see it again if the stewards decide otherwise afterwards. So into the second laps we go. Verstappen, purple sector 1, Norris a yellow sector 1. So at this point Verstappen was up on the pole time, looked like he was going to be able to take pole position. But unfortunately, we had a very anticlimactic ending to qualifying. Russell crashes pretty heavily in sector 3. He lost the rear at turn 19, so basically the penultimate corner. And he was, I think, the first driver to set a lap. So Yeah, he just goes into the barriers. They don't call red flag, interestingly enough, because I believe that there's the new rule where if you cause the red flag, you lose your best lap time. They never called brought out the red flag. It just says stayed yellow. And I guess they had double weight yellows there. And again, it'll be interesting to see what the reaction to that is afterwards, if that was kind of a deliberate decision to make sure that Russell didn't lose his lap time. But that basically meant that Norris took pole position, very anticlimactic fashion. Verstappen P2 looked like he could have had pole. I guess we'll never know. But that is your front row for the grid for the Grand Prix tomorrow. Very exciting front row. The top two in the championship. Your two guys who are potentially competing for that championship. Saying potentially just because Norris still is quite far behind at this point. Third on the grid, Sainz with Leclerc fourth and all Ferrari second row. Fifth, Piastri, another kind of, he's been, I think, definitely not on the pace of his teammate Norris this weekend, so definitely a bit disappointing from him. Sixth, Russell, we'll see if he keeps that position. Seventh, Gasly. Eighth, Alonso. Ninth, Magnussen. 10th, Perez. Didn't set a lap time, of course. His one lap time was deleted, and then no one set a lap time at the end. So again, P10 start for Perez, definitely a bit disappointing there. 11th, Tsunoda. 12th, Hulkenberg. 13th, Ocon. 14th, Stroll. Lawson will not be starting 15th, so yeah, Albon 15th, Colapinto 16th, Bottas 17th, Hamilton 18th, Zhou 19th, and then Lawson, of course, will be starting 20th. I know it says grid, but yeah, that's basically just the qualifying order. So there you go. There's my review of the sprint and qualifying for the 2024 US Grand Prix. Sprint was actually pretty enjoyable. Qualifying close, but yeah, very anticlimactic ending, so not great there. So looking forward to the Grand Prix tomorrow. We'll see who wins. I think it's going to be very close between Norris, Verstappen, and the Ferraris as well. But if I had to pick someone now, I think I'd probably pick Max for the win, just given how strong he looked in the sprint. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.